Problem 1311. First thing you should do when you look at a problem like this is make sure that you understand whether you're using chase or level, and also pay attention to the costs that are given to you in the table, which is replicated at the top of the screen. And then in this case, we have 4 quarters for this particular problem. It's not done monthly, it's done quarterly. So we also have to pay attention, especially with the chase strategy, where you are going to hire and lay people off, is what's our starting point? How many units or how many people or whatever the information is given, what's our starting point? So in this particular case, we have in part A, it says nice and clearly that we have a chase strategy. So we're going to use hiring and layoffs in the question. Now you have to be careful. If you look up at the top of the screen, you'll notice units for the last period were 1,500. Quarter 1, we're going to produce 1,400. So we're going to reduce by 100 units the amount that we're going to produce to go from 1,500 to 1,400. So you have demand of 1,400, you have production of 1,400, but because there was from quarter 4 of the previous year, we're going to lay off 100 units. So the layoff costs we'll calculate at $80, but we'll just total it up. In quarter 2, you're going to go from 1,400 to 1,200. So you're not going to have any inventory in this case because your beginning inventory was 0. So that's nice. We don't have to factor that in. But you're going to reduce your workforce by 200 units. So that's another 200 layoffs. Quarter 3, good news is you get to hire, and you go from 12 to 1,500 units. And so you're going to have increase of 300. So hiring of 300 units at $40 per unit. And then in quarter 4, it goes down to 1,300. So you have a layoff of 200. So you have a total hiring of 300 units at $40 each. Total layoffs of 500 units at $80 each. And the regular production is $30 per unit. So when you total those 3 up, you get $214 following the chase strategy. Now, with the level production, it is determined you're going to make enough units to neither increase or decrease your inventory. And in this particular case, so you simply take the 5,400 divided by 4 and get 1,350 as it's showing you on the screen. So you're going to make 1,350. Now, in this case, we're going to have shortages. If we have a shortfall or back orders, only time we're going to change our workforce is at the very beginning, because we had 1,500 in quarter 4 of the previous year, and we're going down to 1,350. So we're going to have layoffs of 150. And after that, you won't be doing any more hiring or layoff because it is a level production strategy. So in this case, we have a shortage or back orders of 50 units after quarter 1. So in quarter 2, you're going to make 1,350. You have 1,200 units demanded, so it means you have 150 left over, but you had 50 as a shortfall or shortage from quarter 1, so you'll actually only have 100. So if you take the shortage as a negative, you go minus 50 plus 1,350 minus 1,200, you'll wind up with positive 100. So now you've got 100 units of inventory left over. In quarter number 3, in this case, you start the quarter with 100 units in inventory. You produce 1,350 units, so you have 1,450 available for sale. You have demand for 1,500, so once again, you have a shortage of 50 units. So that will be, again, if you want to view shortage as negative inventory, back orders backlog, whatever you want to call it. So in this case, you have 50 as a shortfall. In quarter 4, you make 1350, and then the demand is 1300. So in quarter 4, it'd be negative 50 as your beginning inventory, plus 1350 as your production, minus your demand of 1300, and you wind up with 0. And with a level production, when you get to the end, if you've done everything properly, you should have no inventory. So in this case, we have 100 units we have to pay for holding costs at $10 a unit. We have a shortage of 100 units also, but they're $50 a unit, so 5 times as much. Hiring, we didn't hire anybody. In fact, we laid people off, and the layoff costs were $80. So you would multiply that times the 150, and you wind up with 12,000. So when you add up all of these numbers, the regular production does not change, but now you have holding costs, you have shortage costs, and you have layoff costs, just because we started off with a different size of workforce from quarter 4 of the previous year to quarter 1 of this year, and that will total up to be 180,000, which is significantly less expensive than the chase strategy of 214. A lot of this depends on, obviously, the cost to hire, the cost to layoff, or for layoffs, the cost of holding. See, that wasn't that much. It was only $1,000, and even the cost of shortage. So in this particular case, it's all about the ratios. So the regular production is the same, but because the hiring and layoff costs are significantly more than holding and shortage, you can see that the layoff and hiring costs were 52,000 in the previous problem, with 12 plus the 40 for 52,000, and the inventory was only 1 plus 5 for 6. So that's where we're getting the savings, rather than spending $52,000 hiring and laying people off. We're only spending $6,000 on inventory from between shortages and holding costs. Yes, and of course, to adjust our workforce at the start, we had to pay $12,000, but overall, that $18,000 is a lot less than the 52. So you could wind up with a problem like this, but the ratios, like hiring and layoff costs, become less expensive, or the holding and shortage costs become more expensive. So in this case, it's very much tilted towards holding and shortage and level production, because it's cheap to hold inventory. So one company can do it one way and another company can do it another, and they're both correct.